With Eddie Howe set to be named the new Newcastle United manager imminently, I'm going to take a look at 5 key things he will have to address immediately once he takes the reins of the club this week. Newcastle, as we all know, are sat in 19th place in the Premier League, 5 points adrift of safety, and are the only team in the entire Football League not to have registered a victory yet. The task ahead of Eddie Howe is a monumental one. Newcastle have never had such a slow start to the season, and if we want to retain our precious Premier League status, wins need to come, and they need to come immediately. But how will Howe go about changing the team on the pitch, and what are his priorities going to be? Firstly, I believe he needs to get on the training ground as soon as possible and chat to each and every player in the squad. And he needs to find out who is up for the fight and who isn't. There will be players in the squad who care hugely about keeping the club up, and there will be others who don't care. Yes, there's a lack of confidence and there's been poor tactics which haven't helped the players' cause. However, there are definitely some in that squad who have perhaps shown that they could care more. Howe needs to know who is going to fight for him and the badge and who isn't. Those who aren't ready to battle for every tackle, every header, every point will need to be moved on and replaced. Howe will then know exactly who he has in the squad to work with properly between now and January. Once Howe has got his group of core players who he is sure will sweat blood and tears for him, he then needs to utilise them properly. To get the best out of the players, he really needs to play them in the correct positions. Something that sounds ridiculously obvious, because let's face it, it is, but is something that for too long under Steve Bruce didn't happen. And this continued in the 3 matches under Graham Jones too. Playing players in their favoured positions is an easy way to boost performance and rebuild some of that confidence that has evaded large sections of the squad for far too long. I fully expect Howe to change the formation by the time we kick off against Brentford in a couple of weeks. Howe, for the most part of his career, plays with 4 at the back, and so I expect to see lots of players playing positions that suit them more in that formation. And this leads me nicely onto issue number 3. He needs to play the best players available. Now, taking into account what I said about finding out who's going to want to play and be part of this push for survival, Howe's task is, again, fairly straightforward. Play the best players available. We have somehow gone through most of this season without seeing Fabian Schär and Fernandes. In my mind, the 2 best defenders we have at the club currently. Clark and even Lascelles have looked a liability. Clark, of course, being very clumsy against Brighton to concede that penalty, and Lascelles, on more than one occasion, being caught out by quicker players and changing the code that he's playing to rugby union. But it goes further than that too. Dubravka, back from injury, is a better keeper than Darlow, so he needs to be playing. Almiron, with some good coaching, can surely offer us something extra. And the new boss needs to figure out what he can do with the central midfield, which is a major weakness right now. If Willock is free of injury, then I'd like to see him in there too. The 4th issue, and really this is a big one that I've already alluded to a couple of times, is the defence. Howe must sort this defence out, and he has to find a way of doing that very, very quickly. As a team, we are hemorrhaging goals. 24 conceded so far, and only Norwich have a worse record than us in the Premier League. It's simply unsustainable if we have real hopes of surviving. Now, in my mind, the likes of Schär and Fernandes are a must. They simply can't or won't be any worse than what we've seen so far from Clark and Lascelles. And if, as I predict, Howe switches to a back 4, seeing Lewis come back in and getting a chance would also be sensible too, as it means playing a player in position. Unfortunately, it looks like Dummett's persistent injury problems may well leave him fighting for his career, so it's unlikely we'll see him again this season at least, and I hope that he makes a full recovery. But on top of that, we also need a defensive midfielder in front of the defence to protect them and to break up play. Maybe Schär could step into that role if Lascelles stays in the team. I know this hasn't worked particularly well in the past, but with a good manager like Howe setting the team up, you'd like to think there's more of a chance that this could work. And the 5th issue Howe will have to address is the style of play. For far too long, since returning to the Premier League if we're honest, the team have set up not to lose. The culture of that is ingrained in these players because most of them have been with us for all that time. And that fact alone means Howe and his coaching staff have their work cut out when trying to change the mindset and belief in this group of players. I strongly believe that the squad is better than we are seeing at present, but I'm also certain that we don't have a great squad. We need the manager to make the team more than the sum of their parts, and he can achieve this through good, meticulous coaching and preparation, but also by changing the style of play. Howe is a man who likes to play an attractive attacking style with fast counter-attacks and plenty of width, allowing players like Saint-Maximin, Almiron, Ritchie, Fraser and even people like Murphy to express themselves going forwards has to be an advantage in getting some positive results. I believe Howe will transition this squad into a team that sets up to win games rather than not to lose games. And with that, we'll see a better style. Hopefully that better style will breed confidence, and the results we are all craving will start to come as a result of this. Let me know in the comments below what you would like to see Eddie Howe and his staff focus on first when they get going at the club. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, hit the like button, that helps it spread to a bigger audience, and I'll see you really soon for another video.